Welcome back to Let's Automate It with Robin, AI and automation for non-techies. And today, the flow you see on the screen here on our n8n canvas is going to help us do keyword research, in-depth keyword research that would normally take hours, if not days, perhaps multiple people. This workflow is going to let you do it in seconds. You'll even be able to do this workflow while on a call with a prospective customer, getting it done super fast, really impressing them, and saving you so much time and money if you're in the SEO game. This may even have value to SEO agencies that you perhaps could sell this to and really make their agencies way more efficient. Now, before I go further, I do want to give a massive shout out to a fellow YouTuber, Wayne Ergel. This is actually Wayne's workflow that he has created here on this video. It is a great workflow. I've modified it a tiny bit, but Wayne, this was a great workflow. Thank you for sharing. I did get a copy of it. I have worked through it and made a couple of enhancements, but definitely you want to check out Wayne's channel here. Subscribe and follow him. He's doing some great stuff with n8n. And today we're going to work through a slightly modified version of Wayne's workflow, and we're going to see how it works. So let's get started. Let me give you a quick demo of how fast this works. Then we'll break it down. We'll work through it. And you'll be able to build this yourself by following along. And as always, if you want to get this for yourself, come and jump into our community, members.letsautomateit.biz. In our community here, we have 191 members. We're a fairly new community. We're growing quickly though. And within our community, not only will you get support on all things automation and such like, you can also jump into our courses of getting started with n8n, learning the basics, getting set up. All our automations that we have on our YouTube channel are listed here, complete with all the resources you could need, downloads, prompts, everything that you possibly need to execute on one of our automations is available in here. We have community automations as well, which means we've got a lot more automations than are listed in our YouTube channel that are super useful. We have Power Live recordings. We help people one-to-one solve their workflow problems. We have over 3,000 high-tech AI prompts in this library. We have AI marketing training guides. We have discussions, channels, members. It's a great place to go. Come and join us here. $20 a month gets you in. Simple as that. And this workflow that we're working through today, this one here, you'll find in that community. So if you don't want to build along and copy along with me, simply go grab it from our community. It'll be right there. Install it, download the workflow and paste it into your n8n, and this will appear. With that all being said, let me dive in and let's give you a demo. Then we will zoom in on this workflow and walk through it. So we're starting here with a trigger node. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see what we're talking about. I've got a n8n form trigger. I'm going to click into this. We're going to go and test this. It's going to give me a little form here, keyword research. What is the keyword we want to look at today? Let's type in AI agents, and we want to search in United States, for example. You can put any country you want in there. Let's click submit. That has now been recorded. We now have our form submission here. I'm just going to pin this quickly, and then I'm going to zoom out. And we're going to watch this workflow run now that I've got the data. Obviously, if this workflow was live and I wasn't testing it node by node, just submitting that form would execute it. But let's hit test workflow now. And what's happening here? Let me zoom in a little bit. This section here is creating a Google Sheet that's going to house the results of our keyword research. It's copying a template file. It's renaming that template file. It is assigning the criteria that we need to do this. And then it is coming over to these workflows here. It's hitting different endpoints and writing to the spreadsheet. You can see this is the research happening here. Here it's looking for keyword suggestions, writing those to our master spreadsheet. Now we're getting some keyword ideas based on our AI agent keyword. And again, we're writing those to our master spreadsheet, which is acting as a database. We're getting the autocomplete results. These are the results that you would get if you typed into Google and Google tries to guess what you want. Very powerful. We're going to get some subtopics here. These are topics that are allied, are related to around this topic of AI agent in this particular case. And then we're also going to get the SERP results, the search engine results that we're going to get into that. We're going to We're going to get some suggestions of what people are asking for, as well as the actual list of the search results. And each time we are writing them to the database we've just created. What did that take? That was maybe 15, 20 seconds for that entire workflow to run. And let's look at the results of that. I'm going to jump over here. And here inside my Google Drive right now, 12:24, this is 1 minute, 30 seconds ago, this workflow created this AI agent keyword research database, the spreadsheet. Now, if I open this up, here we can see our master keyword variations. Thanks, Wayne. Great spreadsheet, by the way. But here we have our keyword, AI agents, the type of keyword. This is the related keywords. Is it AI agent? That's its monthly search volume, massive monthly search volume on this. Search intent is navigational. Keyword difficulty is 53. Medium competition. Cost per click, quite expensive, $42.75. And as we scroll through this, we've got all kinds of information. Here we have suggested keywords. Coming further down, we have ideas on different keywords. Coming further down, we have autocomplete suggestions, subtopics. We have people also asked. People also asked Edmund, what are the 5 types? And then each one of these is broken down into its own sheet within this spreadsheet, so you can zoom in on this data in more detail to suit the needs that you have of keyword research for whatever goal it is that you are after. This is what happens. This is the result. Let's figure out how to do it. Let's build together. So I'm going to come back over to our little n8n workflow here, and n8n is a low-code, no-code tool. We have a great video on how to set up your own n8n if you need it on our channel. Let's automate it. Come over, subscribe, get access to our videos. And we have here a great video how to install your own n8n. So if you're not sure how to do it, grip that video, walk through those steps, and you'll be set up with n8n in no time. So we need to get n8n set up first and foremost. Then we're going to need to create our trigger form. I'm going to work through this from left to right, and we'll unpack each one as we go. So let's zoom in here and jump right into this first section, which is getting our template all set up and ready to go. So you're going to need a trigger element, something that's going to trigger it. In this case, I'm using a n8n form. You might want to use a form from your WordPress site, for example. You can use anything that's able to send a webhook over to n8n, because n8n can catch a webhook. If you don't have anything, do what I've done and use a web form, an n8n form, in order to trigger this. So this is the element, n8n form, and we want a trigger element, and this is what you want to grab here. Drag that onto your canvas, and that's exactly what we've got here. So let's click into it. Okay, we need to give it a title, anything you like. A description is optional, does need to have a title though. And then we want to have two main fields. The keyword field that we're going to search for, that's the main keyword, and the country you want to search in, because the tool we're using, Data for SEO, that's the tool we're going to be using. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, requires information in order to know where to search, what are you looking for. And it's going to need to know what keyword are you searching for, in what country are you searching for. It needs to know a little bit of other information as well, but we'll unpack that as we get to those sections of the workflow. So I've pinned this data, filled out that form, and here's the data, AI agent and United States. By the way, in case you didn't know, once you've created this form, this production URL, if you click into production URL and you make the workflow active, this will be the URL to visit in order to access the form to fill it out. So that's the URL. If you want to know where to find the form to fill it out, that is it right there. And when I say making it active, you've got to toggle this little button on active. It's by default inactive. So if you're just starting to build, that might be inactive. You can leave it inactive for the moment. And when you come back here, when you test this, it'll just use the test URL, which literally has this little word test in it. That's the only difference. But when you go into production, use the production URL, and that just drops the word test out of it, and that is your URL. So with that done, we can now move on to the next step. So what I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to go back over to my Google Drive, and let's just delete this one. Let's just move that to trash, because we're busy recreating that as we go. In fact, what I'm going to do So I'm actually just going to pin the data that's in each one of these nodes, because these are the nodes that are actually getting the information, and they cost a tiny amount, but they are burning a couple of credits. So seeing as we've just run one, I'm just going to pin this information so that this runs a little bit faster, although you've just seen how fast it goes. And also so we don't burn credits because we've already run that. You don't need to worry about the step I've just done. I'm just doing that for the sake of this video. Okay. So now this yellow, colorblind much? This green block here is the sections that go and create a copy of a template. So in here, I have a keyword research template. That's what it's called. And those nodes now are going to make a copy of this template and rename it. So I need a Google Drive node. So you can just go and grab a Google Drive node, and you want to grab the copy file node. That's what this one is, copy file. When you're in here, you're going to need to connect it to your credential. Now, if you don't know how to connect up your Google Drive credentials, not a problem. Go into here, click Create New Credential, and then just follow along with the docs that are available here. Click Open Docs, and there is very, very good documentation from n8n on how exactly to get access to the Google Drive API so that you can access your Google Drive. So we'll close that. So I've got that set up already. So I've got my humanoid Google Drive set up. My resource is a file. I'm copying a file. What operation do I want? I want to copy it from a list. Now I've got a long list here of all the files in my drive. Which one am I looking for? Keyword research template. So I've chosen that. That is the file I'm going to copy. So these, if you will, are almost hard-coded. This next phase here, I get to, well, not next phase, this configuration window, I get to determine the name. So I'm hard-coded in keyword research. Okay, and then here I've dragged in the main keyword. So this is going to give me a result of, well, I can actually see it here. AI agents. Why is it saying AI agents here? Because I've dragged in the main keyword, AI agents. I've dragged this in and I've dropped it into this little box, and I've put it here before keyword research. And then I'm using this little expression called $now, and then I've added here on dot format, and I've put the format in. So that's going to give me today's date, 10th of March. In fact, I'm in South Africa. Let's see if I can change this around. I'm going to go DD and change this to month. And whoops, I've got an extra month. We run on the British system here. So that's now 10th of March, 2025. That is the name this is going to have. You can give it any name you want, but it makes sense to use some of these dynamic variables because every time you run this for a different keyword, a different research project, you're going to want to label that sheet so you know which keyword the Google Sheet is referring to. So with that being done, let's go and test that. And it's busy creating this file, and it's going to give us the ID of the file. That's really important, of the new file, of the new spreadsheet that we need to write the information to. And there it is. If I go to schema, it's created a new file with that name, and this is the ID. Okay, that being done. All right, now let's jump over now to the next node. It's a simple Google Sheet node, and it's append sheet. What am I talking about? If I go into Sheet, I go to Google Sheet, I'm going to append row in Sheet, pulling that on, and that's what this node is. And we just need to configure it now. So let's configure our Google Sheet now. You're going to want to connect up your credential. You probably need to create a new credential for Google Sheets. And as always, just go into Create Credential and follow along with the documentation. You'll be set up in no time. Our resource is a sheet within the document. Our operation is append row, and we are identifying which document to update by its ID, and we're just dragging in the ID from here. That is the ID to drag in. The sheet we're going to is main keyword sheet. Why? Because if we go and look at our sheet here, we've got main keyword. That is the Google Sheet we want to update with this data because we're going to be referencing this keyword from the Google Sheet for the subsequent node. So that's why we're writing it to there. And now we are going to map each column manually because we've got main keyword, trigger, location, language, and limit. So we go back here, we can go into our sheet here. Main keyword, trigger, location, language, and limit. We are matching them up. So this is a representation of the columns we're seeing in this particular Google Sheet. And the main keyword we're bringing in is this one here. Drag that in. Okay, we are bringing in the location, drag that in. And then we have hard-coded the language in here. We've written English, and we've limited this to 100 results. Now, of course, you could actually modify this form so that you could have a different language, and then you would have a additional variable here that you could drag on if you wanted to do this in a different language. And again, for the limit, if you wanted to limit how many results that you're getting, we've hard-coded these in through this mechanism. And if I hit test step now, this will write to our Google Sheet. And there we have it. AI agents, United States, English, and 100 is our limit. So that is being done. So we've copied our template, and we've written some information to it. Okay. All right. What's next? What do we need to do now? Now we need another Google Sheet, because we're actually now we've written to the Google Sheet, but now we need to read from the Google Sheet so that we can actually set what variables we want to do SEO keyword research on. Basically, we want to be able to read from the spreadsheet now. This is acting as our database telling us, well, what keyword do we want to research on? Yes, we've got the keyword in the web form as well, but let's pull it from the Google Sheet. Either would work. It doesn't really matter. So we're going to pull on a new Google Sheet node. We are, again, using resource sheet within a document. We are getting rows, and again, we're getting it by ID. So you'll go here and go and grab the ID once again, okay, from the list main keyword, and we just want all those results to come back. So I'm just going to hit test step, and it's going to return with the information we've just pushed into the Google Sheet. I hope that's making sense so far. And now our database is set up, ready to go. Next step here actually is probably better sits outside of this block, perhaps, because this block is more about managing our Google Sheets. But here what we're doing is we're going to set the fields that we require to do our keyword research. So let's click into this. This is a set node, by the way. If you don't know what a set node is, it's just a place. There it is, edit fields. You can bring that on. It's just a way to kind of save your parameters, your variables in one place so that it is available to you, and just it makes it kind of just, if you're pulling data through from node to node to node to node, every now and again, it's nice just to have a node that kind of consolidates everything you've collected up to that point. Just set nodes are pretty good at. I've just pinned these at the moment because as we're walking through this, I'm going to be reactivating things, and I want things just to run quickly and not recreate multiple versions of these Google Sheets. That's why I've pinned it. But let's come in here into our set main fields node. And what do we want to set? We want to know the main keyword. We want to know the location, the language, the limit, okay? We're going to need the file name as well so that later on we can write our results back to the file name, okay? And we're also going to get the ID of the file ID. And I don't think we need this one, actually. I'll leave it there, but I think that's additional. It must have been left over when I was building it. So what am I doing here? Main keyword. I'm just going into main keyword, which I'm getting from here, and I am just dragging that in. You could drag it in from here or from here. Wouldn't make a difference. It's the same space. The location we're getting from our Google Sheets as well. There's the location. We can drag that in. Language, there it is. Okay, our limit, there it is. Just keep dragging and dropping like I'm doing. I've obviously done it before. Our file name is here. There is our file name. Okay, and we have our file ID, which is this one here, pulling in. So we've set all our parameters, just kind of consolidated our data here, test this step, and that is the information that we've got at that point. All right, everyone's happy. I hope you're following along. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so I'm going to move up on our sheet now, and we're now going to get into the guts of this. What's in this big colored block at the top is when we're actually doing our keyword research, and we're using an amazing tool called Data for SEO. Let me go show you what that's all about. We're going to dataforseo.com. This is a set of APIs that lets us extract amazingly insightful, powerful SEO keyword research data. We get all kinds of amazing endpoints that we can access. In fact, let's go look at those quickly. I think this will be, yep, no, this is it here. Here we have hundreds. These things just expand, and each one of these is a different endpoint. In other words, a different door we can knock on, a different database we can unlock and extract information from to find hundreds of different points of information that are going to be valuable to us as SEO keyword researchers. This is what data for SEO is. Essentially, this is going to let you build your own Ahrefs or your own Ubersuggest, for example, your own keyword research tool. Super, super valuable. It's called data for SEO. And we don't have a native node inside of our n8n for data for SEO. So we're going to use this great HTTP node to access data for SEO for us. Now, if you don't know how to work with HTTP nodes, if you come over to our channel, we've got a great video here on basics of HTTP nodes and how to use them to access services that n8n doesn't have native integration with. And we're going to run through that very, very quickly on how to go and do that. So we're using this HTTP node to access an endpoint that's going to get us related keywords. Now, if we go back over to our SEO docs, there are so many endpoints here. And thanks to Wayne, he's gone through all of them, found the ones we need. Thanks, Wayne. And I've made a list of them here, right here on the canvas. Let's zoom in a little bit more so you can read it. And here we have keyword suggestions. This is the endpoint we want. Now, if you notice here, I've got a little question mark bash on the end. This just means that if you click on this now, you're going to be able to access the documentation around this particular endpoint. But to actually hit this endpoint, you're going to need to delete off this little question mark and the bash at the bottom. But if we come over here to our HTTP node, we're going to open this up, the URL here. Let's maybe make this a little wider. This is the endpoint that you want to hit. This is the door we're going to knock on to get keyword suggestions around our main keyword being AI agents. That's the URL you want to go and knock on. But I'm going to show you a little trick. And again, it's a trick I cover in that HTTP video. So please go and watch that video if you haven't already. And it's about importing curl. So I am going to go and go back to my canvas here. I'm going to go over to this here. I've clicked that. Oops, it should have given me the documentation. It's not. No, that's not giving me the documentation. But let's go. I'm going to go through it via, actually navigate it to in the API doc. So we're looking for keyword suggestions. So I've gone over to my sign up here, get an account. Once you've got an account, you're going to be able to log in and you're going to be in here. And then you are going to be able to click into documentation, and documentation is going to bring you through to this. Then we want to jump into data for SEO, and we're going to come down here to keyword suggestions. Is this the one we're looking for? Yes, keyword suggestions. That's going to pop in. And it's going to give us all the information we need about keyword suggestions, including that API that we've just been looking at. That's that endpoint over here. But what I'm looking for is a little hack here, a little trick in order to be able to configure our HTTP node as quickly as possible. Okay, so I'm actually just going to pull on a HTTP node here. And let's jump back here. And here's the endpoint I'm after. This is the documentation around it. And if I copy the curl, it's everything after the word curl, including the word curl. I'm going to come all the way down. I'm going to copy all of that. Just copy it. If you're non-techie, this is what you do. Go import curl, paste that in here, hit import. And now you have a pre-configured HTTP node ready to go. This is the node here. I'm going to go back to the node I've already got and work through that. But as simple as that, this is all configured. You'll be able to remove this authorization, and I'll show you why in a moment. But just use that curl trick to configure your HTTP node. Of course, if you're cutting and pasting the workflow out of our community, this will all be done for you. You won't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to go back to Canvas. I'm just going to zoom out so I can find where that little node went. There it is there. Let's zoom back in here. And I'm just going to delete that node, and we're back working over here. Let me zoom all the way back in again. And we are working on this HTTP node. I've just shown you how to configure it. Let's jump in. It's exactly the same configuration with one exception. Here, I've got a credential already set up for data for SEO. So we're going to go ahead and use that credential. I'm going to show you how to set it up. So to get set up with data for SEO, you want to come over to dataforseo.com and create accounts if you haven't created one already. I've already created one, so I'm just going to go ahead and log in. Otherwise, you can click on here, try for free to get set up. Once you've gone through the process of creating your account, you will be brought through to your dashboard. That's what we're looking at right here. They'll give you $1 for free to get started. You can see I've used some of my dollar already. The dollar goes a remarkably long way. But now we need to get set up. We need to get our credential sorted out. So let's have a look here. We want to have a look at the documentation. And here we go. Before making calls with your favorite API tools, grab your login and password for authorization in the API access section. They've very conveniently given us a link. I think it's over here as well. So we'll click through onto that. Okay. And here we are. This is the screen we're after. Now, if you've just created your account, it might actually expose your API key right here. My account's a couple of days old, so I'm not seeing it. So I'll have to click this send by email button in order to get my details. It'll send me my API key. Yours might be showing here. And then here is our API login. In this case, it's an email address of mine. So how do we work with this now? How to make your first API call? Indicate the URL of the API endpoints. Okay, we don't want to do that yet. Set the appropriate API. We don't want to do that yet. Here we go. This is the section we're after. Include the authorization header in your request. For authorization, use your data for SEO. Okay, so let's go and learn more here. I'm guessing this is probably going to take me to some kind of API documentation. Here we go. Okay, so scanning this quickly, data for SEO is using basic authentication. All right, here we are. At once we've got to create a header, a generic header authorization, header credential in n8n. That's what that's telling me here. And this is the format for that authorization. So I'll have authorization in one section, and I will have basic login and password in another section. But I am seeing here, this is unique. I've never seen this before. They want to encode this using the base 64. Base 64. So that's a coding mechanism. So let's go find I'm just going to Google here for base 64. Okay, this is the first one I found, and we're in decode, and we want to encode. Okay, all right. So I'm going to head back over to n8n here, and let's go and create a new credential. So I'm going to go credential. Let's just save those settings, and we want a header auth. So there it is, header auth, generic header auth. We're going to click continue. Let's rename this. We'll just call this tutorial data for SEO. So I know what this is about. And if we come back over to here, if we come back to our documentation, it wants us to put authorization in that first row. So let's get that done. Authorization. Copy that and put that in here. Okay, now for the value, we've got to put in basic login password, but the login and password needs to be encoded in base 64 first. So let's grab this, and that space I think is going to be important, basic space. So I'm going to put that in there. So I've got basic space. Now I need my login and password, but I need to encode it in base 64. So let's go and do that. So my login is going to be my email address. Colon, and then my API key, which I did have sent to me. There it is. I'll go and get that API key. Come back over to base 64 and I'll put that in there. So that is what should be putting my login, colon, and then my API key. So let's encode that. And it's given me this long string here. And if I paste that in here, that now is our credential that's going to give us access to data for SEO. Now that you've got your credential set up, you can come in here and configure this credential. And once you've got it set it up, let me run through that again. It's simple. You're going to go to generic credential type. And from that generic credential type, you're going to select header auth. And then you are going to scroll through your various credential options that you've saved there and choose the one you've just created. Okay. Making sense? I hope you've got that set up. All right, now we need to pass in our main criteria. Okay, so we need to come through here into this. If you had used the curl, you would see hard-coded information here. But as you can see, I'm using dynamic variables to pull this in. So let me show you how that works. So first of all, click into expression and then just expand it out. And now you're going to swap out. If you're going to swap out the hard-coded information that was in there, you're going to swap it out with the correct information. So we want keyword. So here we set our fields for this reason in particular. You're going to drag keyword in, and you're going to drop it in between these quotation marks. You're going to do the same for location name. Now, I want you to notice that I've got location name here, not location code. I'm using location name. If you use the curl technique, this might be saying location code. And also it would be missing these two speech marks, these quotation marks. We're going to change this to location name. So we don't need to know the code for United States. We just want to use the name, but you're going to need to add those two in and then drag in the location name in between. And the same with language. If you've got location language code, change it out to location name and put in these quotation marks and then drag in the language as I have done here. The rest you can leave. And then here I've dragged in the JSON limit. There's the limit. I've pulled that in. We can leave the rest as it is. So now what we've got here essentially is a fully featured node that can access data for SEO and extract the information that we need. So let's go ahead and do exactly that. Let's push this play button. It's now heading over to data for SEO. And it's gone super fast, and it's gone and grabbed our document, all the details that we need. If we come into here, we can see we got an awful lot of information coming back, It gets a little overwhelming, in fact, how much information we got back. So we need to kind of see what we're after. And really what we're after, I'll go through this quickly because I figured it out already. We don't need all the tasks. Actually, sorry, we do need to open these tasks. But what we're looking for is results. And we're looking for the items within the results. So if I come down to items, we're looking for everything under items here is what we want out. Now, we've got lots of items coming through here. I think we had one item coming through, but we need to split this out. We need to split this JSON code. We need to split this out. We don't want all this other information. We just want to split out the fields under items into their own individual items. So coming down to here again, we can see items is actually an array, items, and then we've got item 0. It's possible you could have items 1, items 2, items 3, and so forth. In this case, we've only returned one result. So we are just going to split this out. So to do that, we're going to use a split node. Very useful node. Split node, there it is. And if I just get out of that, we'll come into our split node here, and we want to split out the items. So we're going into tasks. Let's open that up. I don't need path. I don't need data. I do need results. And we're going to come all the way down. I don't need categories. I don't need monthly search results. I don't need impressions. Just collapsing this to make it easier to navigate. Where am I getting to? Items here. So if I just drag this on like that, it's going to give us, I've done it there. You can see it's exactly the same. Tasks 0, results 0, items. So I'm just going to delete all of those out because I've already got it in there. Okay. And that means it's going to split out all the items that are in that array, in the items array. So if I hit test step now, it's split out. 52 items have been split out from here. Okay, so that's great. I've now kind of made the data more easily able to work with. And now we're going to use a set node. A set node to extract just the data we want from this set of data. So we've taken, we got one set of results. We've expanded those set of results out into individual items and got 52 individual items. And now we just want to extract from those 52 items the information that we want. So again, I'm using a set node, drag that on. And now I want to set these fields. So follow along with me. Why am I setting these fields? Well, I've actually trolled through all this information and I figured out exactly what I want to need, what I need. In fact, Wayne did that. I'm just working through Wayne's process here. So we want to know the main keyword. So where do we get the main keyword from? We're getting the main keyword from when we set the main fields. So if I come back here, set main fields, there's our main keyword. I'm dragging that on. Because why are we doing this? We're going to write this all to our database. So we want to extract the right information from here so we can write this into our database. This is of a type. I've written in type. And it's a string, and I've hard written in here. I've just used my keyboard to write in related because these are related keywords. This is just so that in our database, we go back to our database, we have a column for type here, so we know what type of input we're getting here, what type of results we're coming. So this will populate that field. So while we've got the type there. Okay, we want monthly search volume. So that is here under monthly search volume. Here it is, search volume. I've dragged that on. And a search intent. Now, I know search intent because I've been looking for it is way, 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 way down here at the bottom of this particular list. There it is, main intent. I've dragged that on. We're looking at competition. Competition is back here at the top. There is the competition level. I've dragging that into our set node. So you're just going to write competition. Just copy this out. Keyword difficulty. Look for keyword difficulty. Keyword difficulty is hiding under, let's read here. Keyword difficulty is under, make that slightly bigger. Keyword properties, keyword. So I think that's also right down at the bottom. Where was that hiding here? Keyword properties. Here it is. Keyword difficulty. So we've pulled that on. Keyword difficulty there, and we're just slowly populating the data that we want to capture from this information. Cost per click. That was back here near the top. Cost per click. That's just the nod to the ad specialist amongst us. An expensive keyword to buy ads for, $42 per 75 for every click. Very expensive. But now we've got a set of data. So just if there's any other data in here you would like to capture, go ahead, put it into the set node. But if you do that, remember to come back here to your spreadsheet, and underneath related keywords, you're going to need to add in additional columns for any additional fields you are capturing. Why is that? Well, let's test this step and I'll show you. Because here we want to now write this to that sheet. So I've dragged on a Google Sheet again. Google Sheets. Pinned row in Sheet. That's what I've grabbed. Added my credential within Sheet. By ID, we've done this already. From list, this is the related keywords sheet in here, related keywords sheet. That's what I've selected from my little drop-down list here. And now we're matching each column manually, okay? So I'm dragging in main keyword from this one. I'm just working through this as dragging in each one at a time. Simple as that. If I test this now, we're going to see this data, hopefully, being written into the spreadsheet. There we go. It happened live in front of our eyes. There is all our information. We have 52 related keywords coming through, and we have information about difficulty, competition, cost per click, etc., etc., etc. So very, very useful. Now, one last thing we want to do is we do have this master sheet here as well, and we want to summarize the information into that. So we're going to write to this spreadsheet a second time and write to this master keywords sheet. So to do that, we have added in a master keyword variations Google Sheet. Again, it is an append node. Open that up, configure it exactly the same way. The only difference this time is we're writing to the master or keyword variations sheet. The last time we were writing to related keywords. Okay, and then we've mapped to the correct columns as well. If we go and look here, we've got the same columns sitting in here. And if we run this now, we will see it writing, and we should, right in front of our eyes, see it there. So we have a list here of all the keywords, both inside the keyword and also in our master sheet that's kind of collecting all the information for all those different endpoints. So this was an endpoint that got us related keywords. So if I zoom out a little bit here, we'll see this top rung did that. It got us related keywords, wrote it into the database. Okay, we're going to do the same thing quickly here. I'm going to go through this one quickly by hitting this button here, but we're going to get keyword suggestions. We are going to split them out exactly the same way, and we're going to write them to the database. So there it is. It's busy running. It's doing all of its bits and pieces. Let's pin this. And if we go now to our suggested keyword sheet, suggested keywords, we can see all the information in there. We can see the same set of columns. And what we've done here is we've hit a different endpoint. This is the endpoint for keyword suggestions. Where do you get this endpoint from? Well, read it off the video here, or go and grab it here. It is this one here. Keyword suggestions, I believe it's the keyword suggestions. Yeah, we did related keywords first, keyword suggestions. So there is the API. Drop off this # at the end, and come back over to here, and then go and do your configuration. Grab the credential you created for data for SEO, grab that credential, and if we have a quick look in here, we can again see we've got the JSON, and I've just replaced the JSON with the keywords I want to pull through. So you go through exactly the same process, drag in what you need, pay attention to location name versus location code, language name versus language code. We've spoken about that already, and just make it look exactly like this, and make sure on this side the result of that merged is making sense. If it makes sense, you're good to go. You're going to do the split out. You're going to do the split out in exactly the same fashion. You'll see it's exactly the same expression as we had before. Tasks 0, results 0, items. It's going to pull out 100 items. And then from here, again, we've just dragged in the information that we want to get. And we've gone and got it here, and we've dragged it in, and we've repeated those steps and then written it to our 2 spreadsheets. Straightforward. We're going to do the same thing here for keyword ideas, except this time it is a slightly different endpoint. It's the keyword ideas endpoint, which you can get from here. Keyword, there is the endpoint. Again, remember to drop out the !bash and get your keyword endpoint. Drop it in here, and let's run this. Let's run this here. Let that run, splitting everything out, mapping it to the Google Sheet, and so on and so forth. Follow the exact steps we went through here. It will work beautifully each time. All right, now we're going to get to autocomplete, exactly the same. We are going to go and get the autocomplete URL. Okay, we are going to jump through here into the JSON that the autocomplete endpoint requires. There it is, and we're going to drag in the information that we need. So we get that information. We're going to test that step. It's going to return with all the information that we're after. We're going to use a split node to split it out. And once again, you can see it is exactly the same fields that we're splitting out. It's going to give us 10 sets of split out fields. We're going to come to the autocomplete set field. And this one is slightly different. You'll see I'm not separating all things like cost per click and monthly search volume and such like, because autocomplete doesn't give us that information. So we're just once again bringing in the main keyword. The type here is autocomplete, and the keyword is string. Oh, by the way, I didn't highlight in the previous set notes, you would have the type, and you would type in keyword suggestions, keyword ideas, and this one is complete. So just have that field there and just type in what it is that you're actually doing with this particular set of nodes so that it populates into the spreadsheet correctly. So we've got that, and then here is the keyword that's coming, that is coming through. That's JSON suggestions. There it is, just dragging that in. So we've done this. So we're only getting these 3 data sets, three data points for each of these 10 items. So there's 10 main keywords, 10 keyword 10 autocomplete suggestions coming through. Okay. And then now we're grabbing another Google sheet, and this time we're writing to the autocomplete sheet, because we do have a autocomplete sheet sitting over here. There it is. And we're just writing in the main keyword, the type, and the autocomplete. So again, just drag those into the correct columns. Remember, this is a representation of the columns in your Google Sheet. So we're just going to do that. So actually exactly the same as before. We're just mapping less data in because we're getting a little bit less data, or at least different types of data. And then ultimately here, we need to update our master sheet again. And if we come back and look at our master sheet, well, first of all, you can see the autocomplete has populated. And if we come look at keyword variations, these are all our related keywords. Here are keyword suggestions. As we keep coming down, there's our keyword ideas. And here is the autocomplete. Here is the autocomplete suggestions we've just created. So I hope you can see how we're building up and doing some fantastic research here. All right, let's do the same here. We're going to get some subtopics. Again, it's exactly the same. If you want to get these subtopics and you want to get the documentation for this, come over to here. And the endpoint for this, I believe, is under content generation and generate subtopics. And here it is. And again, there is the curl that you could copy in. This curl exists for every single one of the endpoints that you can find within this data for SEO documentation. But you actually don't need to know it. You can just follow along and grab the endpoints from here. There's our subtopic endpoints. Again, drop off the question mark bash, but there it is. You pause the video and grab that and you will be good to go. So let's go and run that. So we're going to get the topics that we want. We've got our item. Just quickly look at that configuration. As I said, it's exactly the same as last time, and slightly different here, and that we're only pulling in one topic, this topic being the main keyword. So we're getting that from our field, dragging it in. That's all the information that this get subtopics endpoint requires. So that's all we've popped in there. Okay, and we've run it, and it's given us an output. Once again, we need to split out that output. And this time, though, we're splitting out slightly different. Remember the last time had items on the end. This time we've got task 0, results 0, subtopics. Why is that? Because we want to pull out here all of these subtopics. We want all of them. So we just dragged that in there and it gave us the subtopics. Just slightly different naming structure. So we needed to kind of update that naming structure to suit this. So let's test that. Should split out 12 items. There it is. We've got the way JSON works, 0 is counted as 1. So 11 plus 1 is 12. There's our 12 items that has come out there. Now we're going to map them to our field. Again, we're going to map our main keyword, drag that in from our set node. And we are going to put the type in there. This is subtopics, and we're going to pull in the keyword here. And this keyword in this case is going to be this subtopic, which we're pulling in there. And it is going to do that 12 times over. So we'll have 12 sets of results here, 12 different subtopics. And again, then we are going to write it to our spreadsheet. I'll run both these nodes together. I think you get the hang of it now. So we're now writing to the autocomplete spreadsheet. In fact, sorry, that should have been renamed, not autocomplete. That should have been renamed to get subtopics. And we've written it now to our master sheet as well. So if we pop over there to our master sheet and we come down, there we go. There's our list of subtopics being added. So we're making good progress. Okay, this last one's a little bit more complex, but not really. Okay, this is where we are going to get search engine results. If you type directly into Google, you're going to get search engine results, and you're going to get people also asked. So these are the search suggestions that Google gives you, that if you're searching for this, at the bottom of your search results, often it'll say, people also search for these other topics when related to the topic you're searching for. So that is really useful. Again, we're using an HTTP node with our credentials loaded. Okay, we are going over to what are we looking at? Google Organic Live. So if I'm just reading this URL, Google Organic Live. Coming back here, I'm going to use that to find where we want to be in here. So I want to look at Google Organic Live. Where is this going to be? Let's just see. It'll be under here, SERP, Google Organic Live. And let's go into advanced. Here we've got an endpoint. And again, we've got curl we can just populate and put into that. And just create that HTTP node almost by magic. And all you need to do then is add your credential in. But I've got that done already. So let's configure this one. This is the JSON that it needs. It wants this JSON language name. So again, I've dragged those items in. So this HTTP node is good to go. Let's test this now. It's now hitting our data for SEO endpoint, coming back with a whole bunch of data. Again, we're going to want to split this out. We're back to the same structure we had before. So we're looking at results, and within those results we want items. There's the items, so I'm just dragging that into there, and it's going to give me each individual item broken down into their own individual items. So I should have 24 separate items. I had one item coming in, but now because I'm using the split out node, there's actually 24 items in here, and I've split them out. So that's what it is now. I've got 24 items. Okay, but now we want to do a filter node is that node there. We're going to pull that on, and this is just basically going to route our data because we've got two types of data here coming in. Well, two categories of data. We've got people also ask. So the JSON type, this JSON type is organic. Let's switch into the table mode. And here we can see type organic. And we've also got type people also ask. And we want to separate this out into people also ask. That's this section here. So we can populate our spreadsheet with the results of the people also ask information that we're getting. And then here we want to get the search engine results. So here, this is JSON type. So again, I'm just dragging that in. And this type is organic. These are the organic search results. So these are the two types. There are other types of data in here as well. I believe we've got top story. So you could actually expand this and have perspectives, and you could pull out more information if you wanted to. We're just going with those two. So we're filtering out those. So let's pin this. Let's also pin that. And then let's run this filter. So we've got 24 items coming in. And 18 are organic results. Let's set those results now. We'll go back into schema and we'll set those results. What is the type? It's organic. Where do we get that from? Right here. Okay. What is the domain? This is news.microsoft domain. This is the search results, remember. So search results are linked to a domain. So there is our website name. You could maybe use that instead. Where is our domain? There is our domain. I've mapped that in. Done the same for URL, title, description, and main keyword, which is coming from our main set node. Our main set node being all the way back here, main set node. I've dragged that in. So essentially doing the same thing over and over again. I'm setting those fields. So I'm extracting the information that I need, and then I am adding it to my spreadsheet. So it's a Google Sheet node. I've set it up. There's my ID again. Now I'm going into the sheet called SERP, Search Engine Results. Let's go and look at our spreadsheet. There it is. Where is that? There we go. SERP Engine Results. And we are going to, there is our columns within our Search Engine Results sheet. Type, domain, URL, title, description. If we go here, type, domain, URL, title, and description. So make sure your Google Sheet has got that ready and waiting. And it is now going to populate that information in here. And we should see this pop in right now. There it is. There is our search engine results. So now we know what the first page of Google essentially looks like. We know what we're up against. Okay, so that's been done. Now we're also going to run here through what people also asked for. So we've seen this node already. We're just going to filter out the results that have the type of people also asked for. So we just got one item here, but within that item, there's going to be lots of results. So we want to split out the items field. So let's just see, we've got items 0 here, items 1, items 2. We have a lot of results. So I want to split those into individual items. So what I've done here is actually grabbed this items node and I've just dragged it and dropped it in there. And it's not an expression, it's actually the name of the field. And if I test this now, I'm going to see that there were 6 suggestions for people also asked, which is about right. It asks about 6 questions if you think about how Google works when you see it on the screen. So we've set that. We want to use a set node to set the results. Type, title, here it is, title, description. The description has come from the expanded element here. There is the description that's coming through. And there we've got the main keyword again from our original set node. So I'm going to run that. And now we've got 6 sets of this data. And now I am going to run it into our spreadsheet, populate our people also asked spreadsheet. There it is, people also asked. And then here we are. Here we are reading this document. We are reading this data. So let's read. We're reading and we're retrieving that information from the spreadsheet so that we can actually write it to the main sheet. So we've extracted that information. And now the last step here is to write that information back into our master keyword sheet. Again, we just mapped in the data that we've got. And if I test that, we are going to get our results done. What has happened? We've repeated the same step over and over again. And what we've ended up with is an incredibly powerful sheet here with hundreds of keywords that we could write contact for. We can now evaluate these keywords based on monthly search volume, competition, cost per click, all kinds of variables that we can do cross-referencing on. We could actually even feed this into an AI agent, and this AI agent would potentially be able to extract the best combination of variables and even write a brief for the content team or for a content-generating AI to be able to write blog content based on this fantastic information we've done. It seems like a complex workflow, but actually, if you realize, we were doing the same thing over and over again. Initially, here we just copied a template, and then each one of these rows, we hit an endpoint, we hit an endpoint, we hit an endpoint. Each time we hit an endpoint, we extracted the information that we wanted from the results that we got back. We saved that information to a set node each time, and then we wrote that information into our spreadsheet. It's actually a really simple workflow, just duplicated over and over again with a subtle difference for some of the endpoints in terms of the information they required in order to do the search and the type of information they came back. I think this is a super powerful workflow. Big thanks to Wayne again. Please go check out his channel. Like and subscribe over there. He's doing great work. And this is already hard at work within my agency, but my team doing it saved us hours and hours of work. I hope it'll do the same for you. If you want to grab this workflow, jump into our community. It will be available for you. Until then, good night, good morning, good day, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for spending time with me. And we'll see you next week for our next video. Cheers.